So, primarily what we do on the e-governance space is most of the e-governance projects, whether it's the state data centers or the individual application projects, they're all driven based on large IT infrastructure, large data centers which are being built to address specific needs of each one of the e-governance initiatives actually. So when we have this large infrastructure, manageability, maintainability, support, sustenance of this infrastructure either revolves having multiple types of skills of people being deployed to manage them, or have solutions from solutions like BMC software to be able to help in automatically managing it and bring in concepts like lights out operation, things like that into the data center management. So we've been engaged at different levels in different project initiatives, and we've been providing solutions which can help in addressing specific areas as well as overall, across multiple solution stacks. So that's what we've been doing.
Yeah, great. What is the role of data center in promoting e-governance in India?
I think data center is going to be obviously one of the key factors in any e-governance project, right? Because in the end of the day, whether they are distributed data centers, whether they are consolidated data centers, or whether they are concepts like computer rooms, where you might have a centralized data center, but you might have computer rooms to address remote connectivity issues, which in India predominantly we would have areas like, for example, the Northeast, for example, is not really well connected from technology standpoint, or there might be outages and stuff, so we might have to have computer rooms. Coming back, if I say, is there a role of data centers? Obviously, I would say it's a foundation for any e-governance project. So it's a very critical role, obviously. And it is also critical to see how these data centers can be consumed by e-governance initiatives, right? So you might have heard about the state data center projects, which are multiple data centers being set up by each of the states. So I think these are critical initiatives, and I think the good thing is that once these data centers are set, the same data centers can also be extended to other initiatives, which may not be direct e-governance initiatives, but can be part of the bigger picture from the a nation perspective actually.
Kevin, there is some security concern related to implementation of virtualization technology. So, are you agree with it? To what extent?
Security, when you talk about, see the problem with virtualization, or rather when you talk about cloud or virtualization, people use it interchangeably actually, whereas they are two separate topics. So when you talk about virtualization or cloud, I would say security concerns are there, but it is not that all the concerns cannot be addressed. There are means and mechanisms to address many of the security concerns. But there are also certain areas where we need to still evolve from a solution standpoint, right? When I say we, I'm saying the overall virtualization itself as a technology. The reason why I'm saying that is that in the end of the day, when we look at virtualization, it is another technical aspect of the data center, right? And the issue that comes from virtualization is that multiple scalability, spanning of servers immediately, and people utilizing those resources without discarding them. That's where the concerns come. So I think more than the security part, there needs to be a process that drives how virtualization can be utilized. So as long as we can plug the process part of it, security is more a technology solution that will fit into it. So if you have the right process and enable it with the right amount of automation and technology, I think security concerns can be addressed.
Yeah, great. India is a nation of 1.2 billion population.
Correct.
And our 65% Indian population live in rural areas.
Correct.
In villages, and our 40% population is below poverty line. So, according to you, what is the ideal roadmap or vision for the effective e-governance in India to get to achieve the goals of inclusive growth in India?
So I would say there are a couple of things, right? One is consumerization. So consumerization, services, right? How do we focus on services? So when I say services, the simplicity of usage of services is very critical. So just give an example, right? So income tax, right? So all of us file taxes, right? So 5 years back, if any of us have to file a tax, income tax return, what we used to do is go stand in the queue, or catch a CA, pay that person X amount of rupees, give him all the documentation, and then that person would, we are reliant on an individual to do the job for us. But this year or even last year for that matter, if you look at it, it's all online, right? There's a single portal. Anybody can access it from anywhere, whether it's a rural destination, whether it's a urban destination. People can access it, right? And that is what I mean by simplification and consumerization. As long as we go on that path, I think we can have more and more services, opened out. Maybe next year they might come out with a mobile application where people don't even need to have a system to do all this stuff. Everybody uses mobiles, so use a mobile to do activity. So the more we can bring the services closer to the end users or to the consumers, I think the better we would be from that perspective.
Yeah. What are your future plans?
I didn't get it. If you could repeat that question.
What are the future plans of BMC software in the field of data centers and virtualization?
So we are investing a lot in terms of cloud technologies. We are investing a lot in terms of how we take virtualization to the next level. Because when we talk about virtualization, it is still predominantly at the infrastructure layer. So if I try and I know it's a little bit technical, but if I take 2 steps back, when you look at an environment, right? You as a user are using income tax as an application, right? You are not worried what kind of technologies are below it. It could be a server, it could be 15 routers, it could be databases, whatever it might be. There's a whole lot of technologies below it. But what all you're looking at is, I use this application, it gave me 2 seconds yesterday, it should give me 2 seconds today, it should give me 2 seconds tomorrow, right? That's all that you are worried about. And when you put all the details, no error message should come. I click save, it should just save and give me the message that you want. Behind, there's a lot of technology that has to work to ensure that this happens, right? So what we are doing from a BMC standpoint is looking at how we can proactively identify failures that happen at the technology layer, how we can proactively automate remediation activities if a failure happens, so that the end user experience is not hampered. In that perspective, we are investing in terms of cloud management solutions at the cloud layer. We are doing automations and a lot of workflows at the automation layer. So we are coming out with a lot of innovative technologies which will help address this part.